Good morning, this is Mariana Boyens, and this is a video about making a watercolor eye, painting a watercolor eye. So what you want to do is just draw out lightly the basic shape of the eye. Because you'll be painting over this, you really don't want to go too dark. This is difficult. Don't know where to put the picture so that you can see what I'm drawing and not draw on top of it. Making videos, a whole new learning curve. See now the leg of the tripod is in the way. Is this not? It's anything but easy. I actually think that's enough detail. With watercolor, always keep in mind the white of the paper. If you're doing true watercolor, the white of the paper it's like gold. You should never overwork the white. If you take it away and you work just not taking care of where you actually want to put the white, it's very difficult to get back, almost impossible. So keep your whites white. If you don't know how to do that, then use masking fluid and mask it out beforehand. Let it dry, work over it then, and then after it's completely dried and you've done your watercolor over it, you can rub it off with your finger, and then your white will stay your white. Which is a pretty cool thing. I find it a little bit harsh every now and then. If you take it off, you can get a very sort of harsh line, and then you'll have to soften it a little bit. But I won't be doing that today. For today, I just want to do a quick sort of watercolor eye, a basic sort of video of showing people how you can go about it. Okay, that's enough actually for the drawing part. I'll be painting more and just talking less, so if you follow the process, you'll sort of see what I'm doing without me telling you every step of the way what you're supposed to do. What I can say in the beginning is start really lightly, build it up slowly. Watercolor is all about the translucency of the watercolor. That's what makes it so precious and so beautiful. So you don't want to go too dark too quickly and go opaque, where you lose that transparency, because then you've actually gone away from watercolor, and for me the beauty of watercolor. So I try to work lightly, building up my layers, and then literally almost like in certain places I'll layer up to 5-6 layers of watercolor on top of one another, and what will happen is the colors will start shining through each other. The transparency will make that you can almost see the first layers up to the 5th or the 4th layer, and I find that fascinating. intuitively almost always start here. Because if I can get the outline, the upper eyelid right, I've got quite a lot going for me. This is I think a 300-gram watercolor paper. It's quite a good watercolor paper. Has a coarse grain to it. It's not very smooth. So the eyes like a little bit of green, but I won't start with green. I'll start with some yellows, and I build up towards that green. So it's like a greenish yellow that I'm going to do first. I'm taking care, because that layer is still wet, to leave a little bit of a white, tiny little white margin there, so the two colors don't bleed into one another. The iris has quite a smooth, beautiful smooth edge. So you have to be careful that you don't make it wobbly. Irises are not wobbly. You know, I feel like I need some coffee already. I'm only done like, what is this? A minute, 2 minutes. I'll carry on a bit. Might take a coffee break and come back to this. No. But for now, that's the sort of very, very basics. Let's do some work underneath here. Again, I'm going to leave a little bit of a white edge there, because I know if I go too close, it's going to just bleed into that section. And as yet, I want, sometimes you want to bleed, but sometimes you have to be a little bit careful that you don't do it too much, too quickly, because you can lose your shapes. And something for me is too dark. I quickly take some watercolor and some water, and I would just quickly blend it so that it's dark tone, mid-tone into the highlight, which to me is the success of a lot of the painting that I do. Is I'm very aware of dark tone, mid-tone and highlight, and I try to teach people in my classes to be aware of it. You're welcome to visit Mariana Boyen's kunsays.co.za. It's the place where I put everything arty that's in my life. So it's from the art products that I'm making to just place where I live is quite beautiful for me. And sometimes it's just photos of my garden, my animals. It's a house full of art, so you'll see lots of it there. Some of it is for sale, and there's soon to be some instructional videos for sale on how to do encaustic painting. This video here is going to be for free and for everybody to just check out what you do with watercolor eyes if you're interested in that sort of thing. For me, painting is about building shapes. I don't know how to do it differently. I don't know if I want to do it differently. Building the shapes. Art tells a story, and there's all of that stuff that I've discussed a little bit in some of my videos. But for me, if you're busy with a shape like this, I'm not too much worried about a story right now. I'm starting to build up little by little the structures of what I'm seeing in front of me. When you do shadows, I love a light sort of purple, blue shadow. I find it really soft for use in portraiture. It's a very sort of soft, gentle blue purple. In the corners you do need those shadows. If you don't have them, the eye is going to look very flat very quickly. So you need to go there. And of course, when you do it, you have to always soften, because it's dark tone, mid tone, over to highlight, dark tone, mid tone, highlight. You can immediately see the eye starting to look a little bit rounder, which I'm happy about. And the way to go lighter always is to add water, just water, to the pigment. Will immediately start lightening your edges. Okay, in eyes, there's just so many circles. If you want to draw an eye well, you have to be able to draw a circle well. And there's, I think, 5 different circles in this shape. I've done a video on how to draw an eye, and it was so long. It was 44 minutes long, and I can't get it loaded anyway because it's such a huge thing. So I'm not sure if I should release it. I maybe have to do it again and just do it in different parts, because I don't know how many people will actually sit down and just... It's long. It's just long. I'm sure there are people who are interested enough in watercolor and eyes and drawing eyes and painting eyes that they actually will. I'll still think about it. I love what happens with the watercolor paper. It's so beautiful, the texture. It just makes it all come alive, because you can see the texture almost through the painting, which I adore. It's a wonderful thing. I don't think I ever, by choice, use a very smooth watercolor paper. I find it not very inspiring. I'm just going to start building up that pupil. I have to be careful with that little white piece there. I'm going to try and just keep it and not lose it. You see, I don't start with black. Black is a deep black hole visually. You can go to black in the end if you want, but you have to start gently, and you have to work it up to black, and I'll sort of almost always end rather with a blue black or a purple black or a brown black. Nie sommer 'n pikswart nie. En dis Afrikaans vir al julle mense daar buite wat nie weet hoe dit klink nie. That's Afrikaans. The Afrikaans language is my home language. English is not my home language. I find these videos quite challenging because I have to paint and I have to talk, and it's left and right hand side of the brain that I have to work in a total balance. And when you're busy painting, it's quite a right brain, right hand side of the brain activity. So nou moet jy altyd doen. You have to be able to do both equally well. And sometimes I really just want to paint and not talk, so less talking for a while. The neighbors have got chickens, so I hope you hear them on the video. That's quite adorable to hear them clucking away. This brush has been in my life longer than some of my friends have, so it's become a little bit of a friend. It's got a beautiful, beautiful edge. I can paint all these finer detail with this edge, even though this is a huge brush. It's like a 3 centimeter width. I'm going to try and get some of that pinkish tear duct in here. So do you think it adds something? Maybe even a little bit of a pinkish tone in there. Okay, it's almost coffee time, but let's just go one darker with the pupil, and then I'm going to take a break and I'll come back and I'll do part 2. So that you could call this beginning an eye in watercolor. See, that's starting to bleed there, a little bit there, because I went a bit close to that edge. I don't have a little line there that's creating a little barrier for me, a white line of paper, so I just have to be careful and tweak it more. For me, it's not such an issue, you know. If I make TV and I come back and something is just totally blurred, I sometimes I find that a surprising thing, and it doesn't freak me out too much. Sometimes it's nice to just see what the paint will do. It's surprising. Watercolor is unpredictable sometimes, especially if your paper is quite wet and you're doing things. But the unpredictability can work in your favor. My lecturers used to say or call them the happy accidents. So maybe there will be some happy accidents in this one. When you do brown, add something else to it, like red or blue or purple. Mind that you don't use a boring flat brown or a dead brown, because it can visually it can just be too dead. That's a brown that has some purple in it. When you do a line, break it up. I call it sensitivity of line, but break it up. Don't make it too, your eye will complete it. That's actually the reason why. If you make it too harsh, the lower lid of an eye must be really soft. If you make it too harsh, it'll look like eyeliner. No getting away from it, and you just have to lighten it again. So if you want it to be more natural looking eye, break up this line visually, because the viewer's eye usually will just complete that. Okie dokie, so nou was ons nou. Maybe a little bit dark on the eyebrow, and then it's coffee time. So if you want to, you can check out my other videos on YouTube. Some of them are more like talking about art. There's a promo video of encaustic painting where I talk a little bit about how you go about an encaustic painting. Just with eyebrows, this lady's eyebrow is quite nicely manicured and groomed, but usually they just end really softly on this side. It doesn't have to be a hard end, because that's not what we see. The watercolor is blurring quite a lot there, but if you look at that edge, it's soft. So I'm gonna keep it like that. I'm gonna keep it soft. If you make a mistake, take out all the paint on your brush, clean your brush, take out all the water, and just slurp it up. It's like a mini water vacuum cleaner. just pick it up again. Okay, I'm quite happy for now with this. So it's tea time. I'm going to stop this video and I will be back with, I suppose it's part 3. The first little video was what do you need? Second one is how to start a watercolor eye. And the third one will be completing a watercolor eye. Wonderlik. See you soon.